Ukraine begins its second year battling the brutal Russian invasion. China is encouraging peace talks, but there's growing concern the country is considering whether to supply weapons to Russia. ABC's Patrick Reevell is on the ground in Kyiv with the latest. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Yes, so far, missile strikes that it was feared Russia might launch around the anniversary have yet to materialize. You can see people out and about here. Western countries have used the occasion to announce fresh sanctions on Russia, but it seems like China is now pushing to play a bigger role in this conflict. And that's something that President Biden addressed in his interview with ABC last night.
This morning, Ukraine saying it is repelling intense Russian assaults on the eastern front line as the second year of war begins. But Western countries marking Friday's anniversary by announcing a coordinated volley of fresh sanctions against Russia. The Biden administration issuing what they're calling one of its most significant sanctions actions to date against Moscow. The new package targets more than 200 additional people and companies, both in Russia and from other countries accused of supporting its war, like China. Biden, Zelensky and G7 leaders meeting Friday, promising to intensify their financial and military support to Ukraine and to maintain it as long as it takes. A potent example of that, the first of the key Leopard 2 tanks arriving in Ukraine from Poland. But concerns growing that China also may be preparing to provide lethal aid to Russia to help its faltering war. President Volodymyr Zelensky saying it's his #1 priority to ensure that doesn't happen. Sitting down with our own David Muir, President Biden saying he's warned President Xi Jinping of the risks.
I know the State Department and the Pentagon now have both warned China not to offer lethal military assistance to Russia in this war with Ukraine, saying the U.S. is concerned that China is considering providing lethal support to Russia. Would that cross a line for you?
Look, it's not in China's. I had a very frank conversation with President Xi this past summer on this issue. And I pointed out to him, the conversation went like this. I said, Mr. President, this is not a threat, it's just an assertion, a statement of what I think the reality is. And I said, without any government prodding, 600 American corporations left Russia, from McDonald's to Exxon to across the board. And I said, and if you are engaged in the same kind of brutality by supporting the brutality that's going on, I said, you may face the same consequence.
The UN saying the war has driven 13 million Ukrainians from their homes, 8 million of them as refugees in Europe. Western officials estimate Russia's army has suffered 200,000 casualties in the last year, while Ukraine is believed to have lost at least 100,000 troops, killed or wounded.
President Biden, in that interview, was also asked if he would send F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. And he said that for the time being, he would not. He said there is currently no military rationale for doing so. He said at the moment, Ukraine has more need of things like ammunition, artillery and air defense. Whit?
Patrick Reevell, our thanks to you this morning. Joining us now is the National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby. John, good morning to you. It's always great to have you. So let's start with that new round of sanctions from the Biden administration as we enter the second year of this war. Is there any evidence that these sanctions are actually working to deter Russia?
Oh, absolutely. We know, for instance, that Mr. Putin is having a hard time getting the microelectronics, the chips and the components to build and to put into the field his cruise missiles. And he's run through a lot of cruise missiles over the course of this year. He's having a hard time replenishing them. That's one of the reasons why he's reaching out to countries like Iran for drones and even asking potentially for missile capability as well. So we know they're having a bite on his ability to continue to prosecute the war from a defense basis. In fact, if you look at a lot of the 200 entities that we sanctioned yesterday are in his defense sector. So we think they'll definitely have an impact.
You know, we heard President Biden tell our David Muir that he's ruled out sending F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine for now. He says that they're not needed at the moment. So why are the Ukrainians and President Zelensky wrong in their assessment that they do, in fact, need them and need them urgently?
Well, you can't blame President Zelensky for asking for as much as he can and as fast as he can. I mean, his country has literally been attacked for a year now, and he's fighting for his very sovereignty, the very independence of his country and for his people. And we talk to the Ukrainians every single day, and our military leaders have been advising them, the Ukrainians, as well as helping us inform our process of providing security assistance. And right now, our senior military leaders really believe that the things they need most right now our armored capabilities, artillery capabilities, air defense capabilities. And when you look at the packages we've sent in just the last couple of weeks, including yesterday, you'll see that those are the articles that we're prioritizing, because those are the things that we believe they're going to really need here in the weeks and months ahead as the Russians prepare for renewed offensive operations.
But we've seen this kind of play out, John, over the last year. Ukraine asking for things like more sophisticated weapons, asking for tanks, and then eventually getting them. Is it possible that this position could change depending on conditions on the ground?
I won't get ahead of where we are right now. The president spoke to this yesterday with David, and he said it's just he has no plans right now to move in that direction. But we have tried to evolve the capabilities with the war as the war has changed over time. In the first couple of weeks, it was all about Javelin anti-tank missiles and Stingers, and of course now air defense and artillery, armored capabilities. Those are the things that are most in need by the Ukrainians, and they observe that for themselves. They're the ones who asked for some combined arms training, and so we're taking battalions of Ukrainian soldiers out of the country right now, getting them that training so that they can fight in a more integrated way in open terrain.
Let's talk about China's role in this. China is urging a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. Now President Zelensky says that he would like to meet with China's President Xi. Is that likely to happen, and could it be productive?
I don't really know. I think only President Zelensky could know when he might be able to meet with President Xi. I think it's important for President Zelensky to continue to make his case before leaders all over the world, and he does that very convincingly. Certainly, that would be his decision to make.
What does year 2 of this war look like?
I wish I knew. We all wish we knew. And there's just no way to get ahead of it, to understand exactly how much longer this is going to go on. I hope that you and I are not talking a year from now about a second year of war. We all would like to see this end. And frankly, it could end today if Mr. Putin would pull his troops out. That doesn't seem to be very likely. So what we are preparing for and helping the Ukrainians prepare for is the kind of fighting that they're going to be seeing in the weeks and months ahead. We believe that as the weather improves, the Russians will try to conduct new offensive operations. We need to make sure the Ukrainians are ready to defend themselves against that, but also to be able to conduct their own offensive operations inside their country. Again, we think it's going to be the kind of integrated fighting that you would see in open terrain. That's why we're training them with armored vehicles and with artillery capabilities and air defense so that they can be ready for that kind of fighting. But how long it's going to go and where all these offensives are going to happen, we just don't know right now.
Yeah, sadly, it appears there is no end in sight, at least for now. John Kirby, thank you for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.